Most of us are raised up with the notion that you can do anything if you work hard and put your mind to it. But as we grow up, that childlike sense of ambition and drive wanes. We're regulated to routine, or we're so lost that we don't even know what we want anymore. We encounter failure after failure, setback after setback. Our dreams fall by the wayside because they're too unrealistic, a fool's errand. But what if we reignite that childlike sense? That no matter what, we'll push through because that's what we want. And I don't think I've ever met anyone who exemplifies that belief more than Kaleb Nuesse. And it is my absolute pleasure to share how amazing he is with you.
Well, I'm Kaleb Nuesse. I'm from a big family, so I got 4 younger siblings and a dog. It gets kind of hectic in our house. I guess the biggest, most notable thing that I've done my whole life that's become kind of my biggest hobby and I want to make it into my life is like music. I got into choir starting in the 5th grade, and then I've done it ever since. And now I'm pumped to be studying music education and kind of just share that with other people, you know? And that's kind of just always one of my biggest outlooks is I want to make other people happy. I want to help people discover their own love for music, because quite honestly, singing like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in 2-part didn't really do much for my for my love of music. So I guess I didn't really discover it as much until high school, but the moment I discovered that was like phenomenal. It was like an instant click of like, I want to do this for the rest of my life, you know?
When did you have that instant click?
Probably the moment I walked into choir my freshman year, first day of freshman year, instantly. I knew that Mrs. King, our director, and Miss Lord, our accompanist, really did care about us and how we went through with music. I felt that vibe instantly. And how everyone, even though it was like the first day of high school and we're all awkward green beans, like, like everyone was still talking to each other and like communicating. It was like, I felt so much more comfortable in that room than I did in like Mr. Wrenchen's biology class, where I was like, what? Like, why am I even taking this class? You know, so I guess it was kind of that. It felt awesome to be surrounded by people who I knew enjoyed doing music just as much, if not more, than I did at the time.
You talked about how you love to help people, and I assume that's part of the reason why you're going into music education. What else? How did you decide on specifically music education?
Definitely through the ILME All-State program, all 3 years. I had Dr. Brady Allred, who was he was phenomenal too. My 2nd year at All-State, and he talked greatly, and it was more during the women's piece. He talked greatly to them about it, but since I'm a music nerd, I kind of just went to the bathroom and came back in and sat in my spot and listened to him sing, because like that's just what I did. But he talked greatly about how like everyone has their own meaning to every piece. And it's finding that's important. How you can connect personally with it is what really, really matters, and it'll help you put emotion into it. There's an infinite amount of music, and there's an infinitely growing library of music always coming out. And with that, there's an infinite amount of interpretations and an infinite amount of stories being told, an infinite amount of people's visions and what they see and what they feel that a piece means. Like, that was all like a moment where I thought back where I'm like, well, like I guess that this does mean a lot to me, and it does mean something different, and I feel connected with it, and it feels so much more powerful, like personally, to know that like I have a little bit of a meaning like that I can find in this piece, you know? So I guess helping people find that is like one of the biggest things for me.
It seems like for every dream you have, there's a million obstacles stopping you. Fear, failure, rejection, they all fall under this category. So how do we push back? I feel like there's always this I don't know how to describe it, but like a negative connotation. It's not financially stable. It's a big risk. But how have you dealt with that?
It's been very tough. There were quite a few times where I almost was like, well, maybe I just shouldn't do music altogether, which I'm glad I didn't stop, because like I know that's just what I want to do now. But like 8th grade going into freshman year, I almost didn't do choir my freshman year. Because I was just like, I don't know, it just wasn't doing as much for me. As I started in 5th grade and I got to 8th grade, the number of men in choir, and I think that's the biggest, because obviously, like, every different instrument in a band, we're like, oh, well, that person's clearly a trumpet player. Like, they all have their stereotypes, but I think the biggest negative stigma surrounds men in choir. I'm not just trying to say that because I'm one of them and I want attention. Like, a lot of times it's like, and it's very welcoming until people are like, so what are you into? Or like, what class do you have next? And I'm like, choir. And they're like, oh, like you're a guy in choir? Like, that's a little odd. It seems like over time that stigma has grown. So that's why more and more people dropped out until eventually I was all alone. And I was like, well, is this what it's going to be like in high school? And are people going to be frowned upon because of their choices of doing what they really like to do, like regardless of the fact they love it? And I almost didn't do it. I was almost like, okay, I'm not gonna go choir freshman year. I was this close. There's even been times since where I've been like, well, I don't know if music education is the right choice for me. Maybe I should just go into engineering or something. Like, I'm good at numbers, like, but it kind of just draws me back every time because I don't know, I can't live without it. A thing you hear a lot when you, and it's not even necessarily it's not necessarily just going into music, it's going into the arts in general. Like, Anna, I guess I have to kind of clarify a little bit for viewers, but like my girlfriend, she's going into dance management. She wants to own a dance studio, and that's a big thing. Like, what are you gonna do with that? Anybody going into dance, music, visual arts, anything like that are frowned upon because it's like, what are you gonna do with that? What are you gonna do with that? What are you gonna do with that? And I think that although maybe now it seems like, Kaleb, what are you gonna do with music education? What are you gonna do as a teacher? You're not gonna make that much money. Like, I am the slightest bit worried that I'm not going to be in the financial state that I need to be in to pay off things like student loans and just to have a family and stuff, but also like, or even go to more school, because like I do want to become a doctor of music. But like, I think it'll pay off eventually. I'll get there eventually. It might take a little longer than I planned, but if it's what I love to do, like teaching music and helping people discover their own meaning and everything that has to do with the arts and music that they do, then even though it takes more time, I'm not going to mind. I'll take my time because I'm going to love it.
With music, I guess in my high school career, or in my experience, I've faced numerous times where I have failed, and where the desired outcome is not reached, and I'm sort of like, is this right for me? Am I doing the right thing, or am I good enough for this? Have you felt that?
Yes, like plenty of times. But I think, especially with just the arts in general, if you don't feel that, you're not going to succeed. But like, so let's say I'm building a house with Legos and I don't like how this looks. So I'm going to tear it down. I'm going to build something else. So then I know I'm never going to do that ever again. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, you're probably going to encounter these times where like over and over and over and over again, you're like, well, why am I even trying anymore? But through doing that over and over and over again and failing over and over and over again, you know, I can't be doing this. I can't be doing this. I can't be doing this. I can do this when this happens, or I can't do this when this happens. You know, so it's all learning experience. I think with the arts, but music for me in general, you can grow better infinitely. Just know that every single failure grows you a little bit more. You're never going to be as successful as you can possibly be without failing a little bit. Yeah. It's like if I were coaching a soccer team, I firmly believe that in soccer, the best way to go forwards is to go backwards a little bit. You know, because it gives yourself some time. And I think that that's very evident as just a phrase in anything you do. You cannot progress if you do not fall down. It's not possible. You're going to get to these points where you hit a wall and you don't want to keep going. It's like, it's so simple of a thought, as in like you need to get back up, you need to bring yourself back into it, and it's really difficult to like just think of, well, I just need to keep going, I just need to keep pushing through. But if you think of it even in the most literal sense, how am I going to get to school if I don't get out of bed today? How am I going to get to this point, the point where I'm happy with what I'm doing, I'm happy with my life, I'm happy with whatever I have. People say that it's like not the destination, it's the journey. The journey is what defines you. The journey is what's going to morph you into the person that you want to be, and you can't become the person you want to be if you don't take a little bit of initiative. You're going to hit these little points along the way that are going to kind of reassure you more. Yes, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. Hitting all those negatives is just going to make those highs feel so much greater. It's going to make them feel so much more relieving. And then eventually you're going to go, and you're going to get to the end. And then you're going to be like, this is it. This is what I've worked so hard for. And it's going to be like, this is why I'm doing